First narrative. OP's daughter severed ties after OP backed stepdaughter's infidelity with her boyfriend. Later, she skipped daughter's wedding to support stepfather. On offering a final chance, she's now distraught over daughter's concealed pregnancy. Additionally, there's stepdaughter's reaction. Providing some background and context as a newcomer on Reddit, I, 54F, have a daughter, Ella, 28F, with my ex, Dylan, 57M. Dylan and I separated amicably when Ella was merely 4 years old. A few years down the line, I remarried to my current husband, Jack, 55, who was previously a single parent to 2 children, Jason, 25M, and Sophie, 27F. Jack and I also share another daughter, Ella, 17. This narrative revolves around Sophie and Ella. I always thought since they were closer to the age, they would get along really well, and I was right. They were like best friends, and we were really happy in our blended family. When Ella was in college, she met this guy, Brian, 30, at a cafe where she worked. They started dating, and I was happy for Ella. Brian proposed to Ella in front of our whole family, and it was very romantic. Everything was fine until one day, Ella came to our house screaming at Sophie. She claims that Sophie has been sleeping with Brian. I told her she must be joking. Sophie would never do that to her. There was a lot of screaming until Sophie finally said that she and Brian were in love. This caused more commotion. We did have an extremely hard conversation with Sophie. She showed her remorse and was very guilty. We tried to talk to Ella. Sophie was sad, and maybe she should forgive her, but Ella had none. She went on to more screaming and bashing all of us, saying that we were abandoning her and picking Sophie. That is not the case. I tried to make it as peaceful as possible, but Ella didn't want that. When Ella and Brian broke up, he started dating Sophie. They got engaged within a year. Sophie wanted Ella to be her bridesmaid, but Ella just said, "Over my dead body." I thought it was really cruel of her to say that, and she is being petty by holding on to the past anger. I missed to say, she didn't come to the wedding. Rather, she left the city to live with her father. She didn't contact us much except for Bella. I thought she might need some time to cool off, but I was hurt that she kept us out of her life. We only got some insights from Bella and Jason. She only sent me cards on my birthday, but hardly ever spoke to me. I think it was unfair. One day, she came to our place. Sophie and Brian were also there. She gave us an invitation card to her wedding with someone named Ray. I don't know much about him. She didn't even include us in the wedding party. Plus, the venue was a 4-hour drive, and the hotels in that area are expensive. We did agree, but at the last moment, Jack got sick, and I had to cancel it. When I told her the reason I could not come to her wedding, she told me not to bother. She made the right choice by not including me at her wedding. She knew I was a bad mom, which really bothered me. I always wanted to be by her side, but the place and time she was getting married were not compatible for us. That was 2 years ago. She never contacted us again. A few weeks ago, my daughter Bella posted on Instagram that Ella was pregnant. She posed with her stepmother with a caption like she would be a good grandmother. I was furious. How can she forget her whole family here? So, I called her from Bella's phone and wanted an explanation. She replied that since I never bothered to be at her wedding, I don't deserve to be in her kid's life. She said it was not just her wedding. She claims I have never been supportive of her. I do not care about her. She went on to blab that she never felt like she had my support even when she got cheated on. I chose my stepdaughter over her. I told her it was not fair for her to hold that against me until now because it was 6 years ago. She has moved on, and Sophie has moved on as well. She is being petty by holding on to something that happened years ago. So, did I do anything wrong? Edit. Look, I did not abandon Ella. I tried to be there for her when she and Brian broke up. I went to her place to support her almost every day. I just think it is silly to hold on to something that happened years ago. I get that she didn't want to be a bridesmaid, but she could have attended the wedding. I never pressured her. Yes, I was disappointed, but if she politely declined, I would have never thought it was cruel. And I tried my best to attend her wedding. We booked the hotel too, but Jack got really sick. We apologized and promised to make it up to her in some way, but she rejected it. Relevant comments. Mathematician do 9 on 266. I couldn't go because Jack was sick. You could still have gone.
Ita.
Let her live her life and be happy. OP replied, Jack was sick. He couldn't walk properly because he became weak. I would have gone if I could. I sent her a gift and told her we would make it up to her. It's not like I intentionally didn't go. I was devastated because of it. Unlucky customer 712, YTA. This has to be fake. No one, absolutely no one, is this clueless and this horrible of a parent. You chose a stepdaughter over your blood daughter. She didn't forget her family. You abandoned her. Not even worth much more comment, as this has to be a troll. OP replied, for the last time, I did not abandon her. She cut off contact with us. And no, I did not choose her over my stepdaughter. I love both of them equally. If I were in Ella's place, I would have at least attended the wedding and not leave the town without any short notice. I get that she didn't want to be a bridesmaid, but at least could have attended the wedding. Update. Hi guys, this is Bella, 17F, the half-sister of Ella. So basically, I am writing this update to clear things up. Basically, this whole argument about Ella being pregnant happened 2 months ago. There have been fights and crying on my mom's part. I tried my best to explain to her that what she did was over the line, and she cannot expect Ella to be okay with it after she, my mom, her. My mom still insists Ella is being unfair. She thinks every other person would agree with her, so I gave her just that. I have been on Reddit for 3 years. I have seen how people tear apart people like my mom, so I told her that she should post it anonymously on Reddit. I did help her with the steps to make sure she included everything, but she still left out some parts. I challenged her, saying that nobody thinks she is right after the yes. HT she pulled. It was hilarious to see my mom reacting to the comments. She genuinely thought people would be on her side. Haha. She read the comments for 3 hours. You guys even PM her, and those were the cherry on top. Seeing how people actually see her, she literally cried her eyes out. She is still in denial and keeps saying they don't know anything. Well, she had a breakdown of how cruel some comments and PMs are. My dad came home and saw mom crying and scolding me for airing our dirty laundry. My mom demanded that I delete it. Instead, I deleted the Reddit app from her phone. But now I am writing this for you guys. I must say, Reddit doesn't disappoint. I have been reading all the comments. They are entertaining. My mom refuses to look at them. She is a lost cause. But I am here to clear things out a bit. I am an observer for my family, so I have observed a lot of things. First of all, my mom didn't cheat with my dad, as far as I know. Since some of you were suggesting the divorce with Ella's dad was amicable, but that's what I heard. My mom has this weird obsession with having twins. She always wanted twin girls, but that never happened. Since Sophie and Ella are almost the same age, my mom pretended that they were twins. I think she created this whole fantasy in her mind that Ella and Sophie would do everything together and have a matching life. Though Ella and Sophie never had bad blood, they were far from being twins. They are like normal people. But my mom still wanted the twin lifestyle for them. Also, just like you guys pointed it out, mom is the type of person who says family comes first. She wanted Ella to forgive everything and be okay with Brian and Sophie so that she, my mom, could show people that in our family, we always forgive and forget, no matter how shy the other person is, and Ella was ruining that Disney musical fantasy for my mom. My dad only cared about his biological daughters, though he was never mean to Ella and always loved her. Blood comes first to him as well. Jason pretty much doesn't give it SHD. He and Sophie were not that close, nor were Ella and him. I am close with Ella. The only reason I showed that Instagram post was so that I could show mom what Ella was doing. She always asks me about her life. I thought this would bring some form of accountability on her part, but no, as you can see, I was wrong, and I take full responsibility for it. Second, mom and dad did berate Sophie about her affair with Brian. Sophie started to say that she would do anything to gain forgiveness from Ella. Sophie even said she would cut off all contact with Brian, but Ella was having none of it. I think my parents got manipulated by the fake waterworks of Sophie. That's why they kept pushing for forgiveness on Ella. And you guys asked what happened to Jack, my dad? Well, he fell down the stairs and hurt his back. I wasn't there because I was a bridesmaid at Ella's wedding, so I spent the whole week there in her town. Sophie and Brian were not invited. Jason was out of town too, but I still think if mom had made an effort, she could have easily made it to the W wedding. She did try to say sorry and offered to pay for their honeymoon, but I don't think that is enough. I mean, It was her daughter, for God's sake. Lastly, my mom lied. Sophie and Brian are not a happy couple, lol. They look like they are on the brink of divorce. My mom still has no idea that Brian cheated on Sophie with a stripper at his bachelor party. Sophie forgave him because it was his bachelor party, so it doesn't count. I knew that she also cheated on him at her bachelorette party too. I don't have the evidence, but I just know. A month ago, Sophie decided that she would also try for a baby. I am willing to bet that Brian will skip town when that happens, or he might not be the father, but we shall see. Also, I am sorry for dragging you guys into my family drama. I just wanted Mom to see that she was wrong. Even she tried to save her ARS by replying, but you guys gave her a new one. I was a little skeptical about posting here because I knew a lot of you guys would think this was fake and not give proper replies, and sorry if you felt deceived that someone else coerced Opie to make a post. So, I am being clear once and for all. The first post was made by my mom. This update is being written by Bella, the youngest sibling. If you guys have any questions, I will try my best to answer them. Relevant comments. Poi. Well, sometimes mothers are really delusional and don't think about the effect their actions have on their daughters. I hope Ella gets her fairy tale life. She deserves it after everything. Sophie and Brian are perfect for each other. Let them be miserable together. OP replied, the fact that their marriage lasted 5 years is astonishing, but it is now hanging by a thread. If anything, Brian did Ella a favor. I always thought that guy was a bluff sub and be asterisk 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 asterisk. Bella, please stay safe. Your mom sounds a bit unhinged. Sorry she can't see what she's done wrong. I do hope Ella stays in C with the rest of them because being in their lives really isn't worth the stress. They're terrible, especially your mom and Sophie. By the way, has Sophie tried reaching out to Ella over the years? OP replied, Ella blocked Mom, Sophie, Brian, and Dad. Her only communication is with me and Jason. Jason lives in his own world, just occasional hi and hello. Like I said, they are not very close. Ella and I also talked a lot. I was sad when she left. I was the last person she talked to before she left town. Sophie tried once or twice to reach out, but not much. Cizik Hens 30, baby girl, never apologize for bringing the drama. In fact, please bring all the MFD. But I do wish your sister Ella all the best and happiness in her life. OP replied, haha, I don't know if there will be more drama. Ella blocked all of them. She didn't block me. Because I was the only one she could rely on to help Mom, even if she doesn't talk to Mom. I know she cares for her. I lied to Mom, saying that she also blocked me after the fiasco. And by the way, I will be 18 in 3 months. I am planning on moving out because I am applying to college in a different city. Fun statistician, 550. So, how is she as a mother otherwise? OP replied, she has been good. Growing up, there was no scapegoat, golden child scene except for the cheating scandal. She has been upset over Ella leaving the family. She is now a little calmer after crying. Dad is handling it and told her to let go of it. Second story, OP supports her husband abandoning his biological daughter because she is his SA baby, but his daughter is desperate to have a relationship. So, they shut her down and went in C. Anyway, my husband, 42M, and I, 36F, have a very solid relationship. We have been together for about 13 years, have no children, but are very active in my nephew's, 4M Mark, life. For some background, my husband has a child, 16F, named Laura with whom only my MIL, and to some degree my FIL have a relationship from his nuclear family. The reason is that she was conceived when her mom poked holes in the condoms. It was a whole drama about it, and my MIL begged my husband to have a relationship with Laura, but he simply couldn't. He even had to get psychiatric help in order to be able to cope with it. The mom admitted she did it so he would stay with her due to responsibility, but it did not work. He pays child support because the law mandates it, but nothing more. I didn't hear about this news from my husband but from my MIL, and she emphasized that she liked me a lot and hoped I would be a good enough person to procure a relationship between my husband and Laura. I was flabbergasted and asked my now husband about it because my MIL made it seem so different from the truth. He explained he was going to tell me before we moved in together, and to be fair, he kind of had already given me little info here and there, explained the whole situation, and even told me I could go to therapy with him and see the psych info if I wanted. But things were not like my MIL said. His sister confirmed this as well and explained that this issue was the reason she was not as close to her parents anymore. Things went okay for some time, and even the wedding went without issues. We all have several boundaries, and MIL more or less respects them, although she still has constant communication with Laura and her mom. We have had several cycles of very low contact with her, but things went to overdrive once my S got pregnant with Mark. MIL started telling everybody it was not her first grandchild and all that cryptic stuff, and my husband was so uncomfortable about it. She pushed for Laura to be involved in birthday parties, christenings, etc., but we all said no. She also invited both of them to her birthday party a couple of times, but we simply did not attend. Now the new issue is that Laura has been so sad about not having a biological dad in her life. My husband said no and left immediately. I stayed while grabbing our stuff since I had brought food, and I told her it was not going to happen. According to my mom, Laura just wants to know my husband since he is her real dad, and despite being okay with her stepdad, it's not the same. She said she would give her our address and contact information because she is desperate for a connection. I told her I would call the police on all of them. I said my S will be very upset with her when she hears of this and will not be surprised to get less access to Mark. MIL called my husband cruel and me a bad person for encouraging his cruelty towards an innocent child. I told her I understand Laura is innocent, but she most likely would not be asking the same if it were a woman who conceived in the same circumstances. Edit. I thank you all for your opinions, even if you say we are monsters or cruel. I'm trying to keep up, but I think I need to clarify some things. I asked if IETA was not because I wanted to betray my husband, but because I stood by him no matter what. The condom did not break, and he was very into safe sex. She assured him she was on the pill, but he wanted to be safer by using condoms. Yes, she admitted to poking holes when he asked her if she would consider an abortion and if not, if they could co-parent because he really didn't want a relationship anymore. She admitted it. Emile knows all of this. She is not in jail because Emile begged my husband not to report it, and he just wanted it all over. My file is like Switzerland now. At the beginning, he was up in arms until my EL asked him if he would feel the same if it happened to her. Emile is on thin ice with SIL since she introduced Mark to Laura on a zoo outing without consulting SIL first. Emile is not allowed alone time with Mark anymore. He has to pay child support until Laura is 18 or done with education in the country where we live. He already made sure to make a will leaving her the minimum allowed by law since you can't disinherit children in the country, but you can leave them the least amount. Emile is very distraught at this since he had me and Mark as the main beneficiaries. The husband does not want to meet Laura or give her a letter at. I am not going to make him do that. I do believe my MIL has been pushing harder since Mark was born because my husband is amazing with him. We even took him on a trip recently, and we are very loving towards him. We also spend a bunch on him because we want. We own our place, but it's all in my name for obvious reasons. I don't know if Laura knows, but I would never tell her because it is not my place, and despite everything, I think it is horrible to learn from someone you don't even know. Comments, that's Shunim 5. Does Laura know why your husband doesn't want a relationship? Jermis, I feel like this is important. She is a victim in all of this too. After all, 5. Yeah, and if she has been lied to by MIL and her mom, she just thinks this seemingly otherwise nice guy just hates her. She deserves to know it's not about her. It's the act of abuse that created her. Ambro, sigh, and your husband was sought, and a pregnancy resulted from that assault. I would never pressure a woman to see the child of a saw if she didn't want to. The same goes for a man. So no, OP, you are absolutely not the and your husband is not either. I understand that this poor kid is as much a victim of her. Mother. Your husband must feel awful and is probably blaming himself for not wanting to be in the life of this kid. But he is not at fault here, and he shouldn't feel guilty. Easier said than done. Your MIL is a monster. By the way, and so is the bio mom. Judgment. NTA. Update 2 days later. I want to thank everybody who took the time to reply, even if it was against us. You gave us the push we needed to clear up the situation. I am sorry this is so long. I showed my husband the post, and after spending a long time reading the comments, he decided enough was enough. Yesterday morning, He texted my SIL and MIL telling them he would like to meet and have this over with them. Said we could do it in the afternoon and that Laura was coming too. We all said okay. Mai and Bill met us at the door because they didn't want to go in before us. It had been really tense since the beginning. Laura tried to hug everybody, but we asked her to please not. Then she tried to hug my husband, and he was slightly less polite and asked her not to touch him. My MIL was very cheerful somehow, and my FIL was just offering everybody drinks and snacks. He was like living in his own reality. We sat down, and after what felt like the longest 5 silent minutes of my life, my husband turned to Laura and asked her if she could please leave him alone. Laura responded that he was her dad and she will need his support when she goes to university since she was planning to move to our city and it was very expensive and hard to find a place. She said she knew he owned his own place and that he clearly had money to spare, so she was wondering if he would help her out. My husband said no, saying that he was already paying child support and would stop as soon as the law allowed him to. She was upset, but somehow she kept going. She turned to me and said that at the end of the day, what is my husband's will go to her since MIL explained the inheritance laws to her, and she wanted to be on good terms with me for when we need to decide what to do with the house, etc. I just told her not to worry because the house is in my name only and there is already a will covering it all. Knew about the will, but not the house situation. Laura was a bit taken aback and looked at my MIL asking for help. She said that even if there is no future money, she thought my husband was unfair to her and that she used to think he simply didn't want to be a dad, but he is amazing with Mark, and we even take him on trips. My EL asked her point blank if she knew how she was conceived, and she did. Laura knows everything and says that while it was not the nicest way, her mom wanted her so badly it made it happen. She said SIL should understand because she has a cousin and would love a relationship with him. My sister was seething, and Bill told Laura he would literally call the cops if she tried to get near Mark. She started crying, saying that she wanted her family to love her and be as awesome as everybody is with Mark, that it was not her fault, and that her mom is not a bad person. She just wanted a family, and my husband denied them that. My husband said that it was the lying and the deception that cost the relationship, not him, and that if there had been an honest mistake, things would have been different. He told her he would never be her dad and she needs therapy. He said that she could get a job instead of expecting him to pay for her life in the long term and that he was not willing to have contact after today. Emile started begging both her kids not to go and maybe do family therapy. They both said they were going to see with her, and Phil is on thin ice. Emile is blocked everywhere. I guess this is it. And see with Emile from all of us. SIL and husband seem actually pretty happy with the decision. We had dinner together, and the topic was dropped after a couple of minutes, and we focused on other stuff. I am sorry there is no Disney ending, but this is for the best, and I still support my husband's mental health above all. Edit. I think I would like to play a little devil's advocate regarding the money. When Mark was born, we started being very active in his life. We have yearly passes to the zoo, get him nice things, pick him up from daycare twice per week, get him to Disneyland Paris, etc. I believe my MIL was showing her pictures, and that is why it came out like this, or at least it is my assumption of it. Her mom is not poor by any means, but she does have 2 other kids. Our city is very popular for student life, which makes it that much more expensive. My husband and I are not interested in having or not having children on our own. We are simply ambivalent about the issue. I know it might have made MIL even more eager to have a relationship with Laura. We were giving her pocket money for some time, but we have decided to stop that as well and let her figure things out with her pension alone. I don't think we will have anything else to update in this case other than if Laura or MIL come around to Mark, but I highly doubt this will happen. As much as we don't want a relationship with any of them, these are teenagers and pensioners, not criminal masterminds. Comments, AED Death 2023. It sounds like your MIL and Laura's mom have been feeding her a fantasy, so she now has this skewed view of how things should be. Look, I feel for the kid, I really do, but what your husband and SIL did was appropriate. Was it painful for Laura? Yes, the shattering of illusions always is. Was it necessary? Also, yes. NTAZ and K33 present for. For Mill to have spoken to her about inheritance and she gets smug with Opie about it, it tells me that she's been fed this nonsense fairy tale for a while and that she's not actually interested in a relationship at all. She's after him for what he can provide her, So I guess the apple didn't fall far from the tree. It definitely stinks for Laura, but posing as some magical thing because she wants a family is absolutely sociopathic. Can you imagine reversing the genders and not seeing it as anything but the dystopian nightmare fuel it is? Ioria. The way the post reads, I'm not sure anyone has explicitly told Laura that her father was sought. They seem to talk in metaphors, and Laura's mom just told her she wanted a child really badly, so she poked holes in her condoms. What's the big deal? Mother has glossed over the trauma she caused Laura's whole life and probably painted Opie as a deadbeat dad who will one day ride in and realize he wants to be in her life. And Mill fed that fantasy until it was a bonfire. I feel so bad for this kid. She's been lied to and manipulated her whole life. The whole thing stinks, but Opie is still in. Soggy Milk 1, 5. So she doesn't actually want the relationship she wants and feels entitled to money. It seems like her mother and your MIL sugar-coated everything. If they truly misled her and she genuinely wanted a relationship, I would feel sad for her. She definitely needs therapy because she knows how she was conceived, but does not actually understand the violation. I'm curious whether her behavior in romantic relationships will mirror this. It's commendable that you're establishing boundaries, and it appears you're a strong source of support for your husband. Has he sought counseling? I strongly believe that as a society, we must increase awareness that men can also be victims of rape and sexual assault. Every victim deserves a platform and support. We appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. If you're keen on hearing similar stories, we have more content available. Just subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and share it with your friends.